It was the day before Halloween. The Fat Controller was about to go back home when he got a phone call.
Follow that telephone. I can arrange that. Alright, the train will depart after the Kipper has passed. Goodbye.
And he set off to the yards immediately. There, he met Thomas, James, and Percy looking at the fireworks.
Percy, James, and Thomas, can I count on you to shunt a few trains tonight?
Of course, it's on Halloween.
Why do I have to go? Can't Duck join him? He loves dawdling about in dirty sidings anyway.
Why should I ruin my coat when you're just on freight duties all week?
Can I count on you to do the shunting?
Yes, sir.
They arrived at the yards and they all noticed that some trucks were missing. After the three recounted what was missing, James called out,
You know, they are probably at the station. I could go fetch them.
I'll come with you.
I'll stay here then.
and he watched as the others backed up till they were out of sight.
Alright, let's get this over with.
Percy didn't mind the shunting at all. He liked running on the branch line at night, and the yard was not much different. Soon, he arranged the trucks needed with the missing ones at the station, so he went to the other side of the yard and started shunting there. He was tired and not really paying attention. He backed up, and he saw an old scrapped engine on the flatbed. He suddenly froze. The engine looked oddly similar to Thomas.
Percy? Come on, we need to shunt him on a train.
Percy didn't respond. Suddenly, he didn't like being alone in the dark anymore. He instead went back to the other side of the yard to wait for the others. And they arrived soon after.
Sorry for the long wait.
Yeah, we searched chopping down those filthy sidings, but we couldn't find them.
That's alright. Let's just finish up.
Thomas puffed to the other side to shunt, while James stayed around Percy, but James saw that something was wrong.
What's the matter, Percy?
Percy looked up.
Have you ever wondered if there were more of us here before?
What do you mean?
Percy decided that it would be easier just to show him what he saw, and so he did. James now knew what Percy was talking about. He didn't know what to think. He just stared. The engine indeed looked a lot like Thomas. He also thought about the engine on his train, who looked a lot like himself.
Come on, I'll shunt it on the train.
Percy silently agreed. James mostly stuck around Percy because they were both scared enough already, but that didn't stop James from grumbling about shunting. Soon, Thomas joined too, and James told him about the scrap loads.
So, that load you brought looked like me?
Yeah, didn't you see?
No? I was in front of you, and it's dark out.
Right.
So did we shunt them all onto the train already?
No, only one of them. But we've got to keep the other loads hidden from Percy.
Keep the load's hidden from Percy.
Yeah. I don't want him acting up tonight. I want to get this done quickly now.
Thomas didn't really pay attention to James. While probably being the most scared himself, he wanted to play a trick on Percy. James took the first half of the train to the station. Percy was shunting open trucks. Thomas managed to sneak the flatbed on the longer siding while Percy shunted the trucks aside. Then Percy noticed that Thomas was nowhere to be seen. And then shunted the flatbed next to Percy with a loud bang. Percy was so scared that he shot off as fast as he could.
Don't worry, Percy. It's just me. Percy?
Percy didn't hear Thomas, nor did he even see what was ahead. He just sped down the line without thinking. The crew tried to unjam the regulator, but they couldn't do anything, because Percy was basically frozen. The signalman saw Percy and activated the trap points. Percy saw the points and tried to stop. He stopped safely, but his front wheels left the rails. Presently, James returned to the yards. He found Thomas, but Percy was nowhere to be seen.
Thomas? Where's Percy?
He took off.
Percy just took off?
Yeah,
Why?
he got scared.
And what exactly was he scared of? Thomas, what was he scared of?
I scared him with that flatbed over there. I only wanted to scare him a little bit. I didn't mean it like that.
No, of course you didn't.
And James took off to find Percy, leaving Thomas all alone again. James didn't go nearly as fast as Percy did, so finding him took much longer than he had thought. James blew his whistle, hoping he would hear it, but only the echo from his own came back to him.
Come on, Percy. Where are you?
Soon enough, he did find Percy, who was still a bit scared.
Percy, are you alright?
Yes, I'm fine. I just got derailed by these trap points. That engine. I saw it move.
Well, you see, the thing is, the engine wasn't actually moving. Thomas was pushing it.
Percy suddenly didn't feel scared anymore. He was cross.
That miserable engine.
Yeah. We need to do something about it. But what?
The two thought for a second in silence. Suddenly, James had a really good idea.
I think I've got an idea. Your crew go to get help.
Yup.
Alright then, I'll see you later.
James backed up, only hoping that his plan would work. Thankfully, Thomas was far enough for James to slip in. He quickly got to the flatbed and shunted it and himself into position. Thomas returned. He still thought James was away, and he already looked spooked. James grinned even more. He started to make sounds, and he blew his low-pitched whistle. Thomas suddenly stopped. He looked around quickly. No one. Silence suddenly hit both of them. He jerked the engine forward, blowing his whistle. Thomas saw the engine and, clenching his eyes, went as fast as he could away from the yard, still whistling in fear.
Oh god, I'm going to die. The look on his smoke box. I cracked myself up.
James found it funny, but he wanted to get the job done as quickly as he could. As he finished, he went straight to Percy. Toby was there at the breakdown cranes, and he already re-railed Percy. But Percy couldn't move.
I'll take you to the sheds, Percy, but first I need to return the cranes.
I could take him.
You sure? It's on the end of the Farquhar line.
Of course.
Well, all right then. See you both at the sheds.
So James took Percy to the sheds, while Toby returned the cranes. He shunted Percy into the sheds. Then he went to the siding next to the sheds, and they started talking until Toby arrived.
Took you long enough, Slowcoat.
Well, the crane siding wasn't close either.
The three engines talked about the day's work, James's paintwork, and the pride of the line, which was, of course, James. Percy looked at the free berth in the shed.
Hey, James. Don't you want to stay in Thomas's shed?
Percy, come on now. Respectable engines don't take all the respectable engines' berths. But luckily, Thomas isn't a respectable engine now, is he?
Thankfully, the crew was still there, so with the leftover steam he had, he went to Thomas's berth in the shed, and the three continued talking. Thomas arrived minutes later, shocked to see James in his berth.
What are you doing here?
Hey, I'm just taking a good rest after a good night's work. Can't be letting my paint get filthy in your dirty branch line sidings now, can we?
Thomas didn't know what to say. When he wanted to speak up, his driver cut in.
Come on, Thomas. We'll park you in the carriage sheds.
But this is my shed. I want to stay in my shed.
And we want to go home after your runaway. So let's go.
No matter how much Thomas argued with them, he was still operated by his crew, so he was shunted to the sidings. Thomas was still fuming by himself in his lonely siding.